You know those conversations that just fill your soul? Maybe you're talking to your best friend and you discover something new about them. Or you're talking to your grandparents and you hear a story that you've never heard before. Or it could even be a moment that you share with a stranger that ends up having a huge impact on your life. These are the conversations that we're going to talk about in today's episode. I'm interviewing an author who has an amazing book to share with us that will help start more meaningful conversations and create more connection with the people around us. You're listening to The Positively Delighted Show, episode number 10. Welcome to The Positively Delighted Show. I'm your host, Kelsey Henry, and in this podcast, we'll be creating a positive mindset through inspirational interviews, music, stories, and exercises for building happy habits. Welcome to episode 10, everyone. I can't believe that we are already in episode 10. This is so exciting. Last week marked a month since the launch of the podcast, and I just want to send a big thank you to everyone who listens to the show. As of this recording, the podcast has about 750 downloads, and I'm just so grateful to everyone who has been tuning in and letting me know that they enjoyed the podcast. Today is a very special day for 3 reasons. 1, it's my birthday. 2, I have a big announcement to make. And 3, I have an amazing interview prepared for you that's going to change your life and how you connect with the people around you. I can't think of anything better I would rather be doing on my birthday than promoting this interview. So it's my birthday today, August 22nd. I am 25 years old, and I can't wait to see what this next year will hold for me. 24 was a year for transitions, and I made some pretty big life and perspective changes. I started out the year in the midst of a very dramatic breakup that lasted several months. For years leading up to the breakup, I did everything I could to try and save the relationship, losing many things along the way, including my self-worth. I gave and gave and gave until I had nothing left to give. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. But I forgot that in order to give to someone else, you have to be full enough to have something to give. So this past year, 24, I have been my own BFF, making up for all the times that I put myself second. I took responsibility for my life and what I could do with it. I took myself on a trip every single month. I made myself available for opportunities. I spent time with friends and family. I met amazing new people, including some of my idols. I went to conferences. I had a mermaid photo shoot. I finished an album of original music. I put my heart out there, and I fell in love again. And I let myself cry when it ended. All of my emotions are valid and matter to me because it means that I tried. I will keep trying, I will keep doing, and I will keep living the best life that I can. This year, I listened to what I needed. I said kind words to myself. I filled myself up for the giving that I want to do going forward. I have really big plans for year 25. Which leads me to my big announcement. If you have seen my posts on social media, you know that I have been hard at work on finishing up my latest album, Music and Lyrics. Well, it is finished and will be officially released for sale on positivelydelighted.com on Saturday, August 25th. On Saturday, I will be releasing several other parts of this project, all centered around a song on the album called Dolly Smiles. On Saturday, I will be releasing the music video for this song, as well as a song and story podcast episode that shares the message and the cause behind the song. This is quite possibly the most important song that I can contribute to the world. I have been given much in my life, and this song is my way of giving back. If you want to be first to know when everything goes live on Saturday, head over to positively.delighted.com and sign up for the email list for Music and Lyrics. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported me in this album launch. I am so grateful for you. All right, we're done with the big announcements and emotional trips down memory lane. So let's get into today's topic. We're going to talk about how to start meaningful conversations that fill your soul with author and adventurer Lindsey Nubern from Nuventure Travels. Lindsay and her husband Adam have been traveling around the country and the world for the past 4 years. During their travels, Lindsay learned the importance of connection and how asking simple questions can lead to really interesting conversations. This led to her writing her book, 501 Questions, A Travel Game, which came out yesterday on Amazon. This book features 501 conversation starters that you can use while traveling or even in everyday life. In this episode, Lindsay and I talk about their travels and some of the conversations that sparked the interest in this topic and the inspiration for the book. The last half of the interview, Lindsay and I actually play the game to show you how one question can lead to many more. We chose questions from each of the categories and asked them to each other. I did not shorten any answers in the interview, so you will get a real-life example of how the game works. I had so much fun playing this game with Lindsay, and I love the book. I've already started using it in everyday conversations, and it's making a huge impact with the way that I connect with other people. If you want to get a copy of 501 Questions, a travel game for free, head over to the show notes page for this episode to get a copy of this book on Amazon. It will be free all day today and until end of day tomorrow. After you start using the questions in this book and you love it, which I know you totally will, be sure to leave Lindsay a review on Amazon. This helps her book in the rankings and helps other people find it. We want many, many people to have soul-filling conversations, don't we? So be sure to check out the book, and let's get into the interview today with Lindsay Nubern. Lindsay, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you. This will be fun.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk with you about all the things that you and Adam have been doing and your upcoming book. And we're going to play the game that is in your book. So I'm super, super excited about all of that.
Yeah, me too. We only met for an hour in Texas. So I'm excited to get to ask you some questions and get to know you a little better too.
Yes, I know. We just met like slightly in passing at the RV Entrepreneur Summit. And I remember because I edited your episode of the RV Entrepreneur podcast. And I was so excited. I was like fangirling when I got to see inside of your trailer.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I've been so excited that you've started this podcast because I know you've worked so hard on editing other people's. And so you are an absolute pro from beginning to end. So I'm so excited that you're doing this. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so first off, I want to get into a little bit about your travels. And you and Adam have been living this full-time travel lifestyle, not just RVing, but also backpacking and doing all these other things for, is it like 3 to 4 years now?
Yeah, it's about 4 years now.
Wow. So how did you guys decide that you wanted to live this way?
So it started when we were dating. We would always talk about traveling long-term.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got married, and Adam is an accountant. So he sat us down the day we got back from our honeymoon when our budgets were together, and we came up with a budget, and our main goal was to save for this long-term travel trip. And we had no plan of when that would happen or how it would happen, or we didn't have any plan. We just started, creating a system for ourselves to save and put money away. And then 3 things happened a year and a half into marriage. As we were saving, a friend borrowed our truck. We had 2 cars at the time. He borrowed our truck, and he flipped it on his way to the mountains.
Oh my goodness.
And he totaled it, and he was okay, thankfully.
That's good.
Yeah, but then we went down to 1 car. So we were able to save all that money, and we put that money towards our travel fund. And then one of Adam's family members passed away. So we went back, and all of our friends were starting to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
We were hopeful for that in the future, but we were like, we got to go now or never.
Yeah.
And then we started preparing to go. And then 2 weeks before Adam was going to give his notice, he got fired. So we were like, okay, 3 things. It's time to go now or never. So we had, been slowly building up our finances. And then those things told us when it was time. So we had our house, and then we rented it out to different people for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved from our house to our Honda Accord and tent, and we did the U.S. just traveling around for 4 months.
You guys were just in like a tent for 4 months?
Yeah.
What time of the year was that?
We left in June. So June to September, October.
Wow.
We left on my birthday for Hawaii. So that was November 1st. And we stayed there for a month. And then we went on to New Zealand, and we bought a camper van in New Zealand. And we traveled there for 5 months. And then we went to Southeast Asia and backpacked there. And then we came back and we still wanted to travel in the US. We weren't ready to settle down yet. And so we bought our camper and became a part of the RV community. We got a casita travel trailer, and we've been living in that for 2 years. But in the midst of that, we decided to go to Europe and travel Europe for 4 months. So
wow,
it's been quite an adventure. We hoped we would only go for 2 years, but once you realize the freedom that's possible with your lifestyle, anything's possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I feel too like once you get a taste of that freedom, it's so hard to give it back.
yes, absolutely, totally.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too that when I went into your casita trailer, I was in here. I'm like, how do you guys manage being in like such a small little trailer? But if you started in the tent, I can see how that was an improvement.
Yes, absolutely. And even before that, we were in a camper van, which in New Zealand, it's a minivan. So
Yeah.
there's no toilet, there's no shower. We were cooking on the bed frame because it's
Okay.
the 2 seats in front. So moving up to a 17-foot camper was, luxury.
It's like a mansion.
Yeah.
See, I think it's all in perspective because I feel like so many people on RVs, they start out with these like huge motorhomes and I see them get smaller and smaller and smaller. And the trailer that I grew up in, because I was road schooled as a child, we were in like this big fifth wheel. And then we have like a vacation home, which is a truck camper.
Oh.
So I guess I'm used to like different spaces. And then for a month this year, I traveled around in a minivan. And now I've converted my little Honda CRV. So I arranged it in the CRV. So I actually have like way more space than I did in the minivan. So I'm going to be testing it out in the next month. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yes. I remember when we were in our Honda Accord, like the thing we would look for was a picnic table anywhere. Like, because when you're living that small, your outdoor space is your extended living space. So
yeah,
picnic tables and chairs are really important for you to, cook your meals. But that's amazing. I'm so excited to follow your adventures.
It'll definitely be interesting. I'm currently planning a trip to Colorado. So I think that'll be really, really fun.
Yeah, you got to stop by and see us. We're in Colorado Springs.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Then I have it on my list to go right through there.
Oh, perfect. Our house is right near Garden of the Gods. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm definitely coming there. So, okay. So is this the house that you've had this past 4 years?
Yes. So we moved back to our house in February because we wanted to, when you're traveling full time, we learned that you're by yourself a lot unless you're very intentional with meeting up with people and creating digital community where you meet up physically. And I can't say that we did the best job with that. So we really missed community and solid friendships, and so we wanted to have the choice to be back in our house. So this February, we had our last renters, long-term renters, and then we moved back in. And so now we have our house set up where when we're here, we can hang out with friends and have a normal lifestyle. And when we decide to go, and we can go whenever for however long, we have a company that comes in and runs our Airbnb through our house. So
cool.
So now we have a choice of being home or not being home, which is really nice.
I really like that. That's so cool because I feel like a lot of my friends, like in the RV community, a lot of them are either like full-time or they're like these location independent, like digital nomads who are going like abroad full-time. But I am in that part-time mindset right now. And so it's kind of hard I'm like, am I location independent? Yes. But then a lot of the time I base myself out of my parents' house and then I'm gone about half the year. So I'm kind of in that place where I'm like, do I travel full time? Do I live with my parents? It's kind of this weird identity thing.
I know, but you just have to figure out what's best for you. And everyone's totally different. And everyone has a different season of how they're feeling, And so we started 4 years ago, and we've seen a lot of people who were totally digital nomads traveling internationally, going to Chiang Mai. Then they decide to come back because of some of the same reasons we decided to move back to our house in Colorado. So everyone has different seasons, and do what you have to do to feel good, because sometimes you can feel totally lonely or just depleted because this is a totally different lifestyle and you have to figure out a lot of new ways. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to think about how, like, even, I don't know, in this travel lifestyle, like you're saying, like there are different seasons. So like right now I'm kind of trying to figure out if that whole like solo female traveler thing, like if that fits my identity, what that entails. And I was kind of planning this Colorado trip. And then I talked to one of my friends and I'm like, hey, you mentioned you were going to go to Colorado. When were you going? And so we're actually going to be trying to coordinate that tomorrow to see if we can go together. And then she's got a trailer and then I have my car camper. And so we can kind of caravan, which I think would be really, really fun. So I hope that works out.
Yeah, I hope that works out for you too. I think solo travel really pushes you. So it'll be good to have those moments, to explore on your own. But company is always amazing. So I'm glad you can hook up with someone and do that.
I think that would be great because it'll push me to kind of test out the whole camper thing, but feel more comfortable. Because like if I decide, okay, I actually don't want to be in this camper right now, I can go into my friend's camper over there.
Yes.
So, and especially because her camper has a bathroom.
Yeah.
Mine has a porta potty. My car does have a porta potty. It does have that. So I feel like that's pretty good.
Yes, that's amazing.
So I don't have to pee outside if I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, on like cold nights or places where you're not totally comfortable, that's amazing. Good for you.
And I definitely I made sure to test out the clearance of my head because I made this mistake in the minivan that we just put it in the front seat. And it's like, oh, well, at night I'll use it. And there's plenty of room. There's nothing else in the front seat. But I didn't expect like, well, if there's a seat and you're sitting in it and then you put a toilet on top of it and then you sit on the toilet, there's no room for your head.
Right.
And so like my limbs were like in the dash and it was just this really weird, like, and I also on my climb from the back of the minivan to the front, I lost my phone in the darkness. And so I was doing this all in the dark.
Oh my gosh.
The wilderness of Canada.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why I didn't just pee outside at that point.
Oh my gosh. Those are really funny stories.
It's good memories.
Yes,
good
absolutely.
Memories. So I know on your website you've talked a little bit about the whole like minimizing to live in a tiny space. And especially since you did the road trip first. And you were in a couple different climates from probably like June to that October frame. How did you minimize for that trip? Like, what was your thought process? Because I know you have your packing list on your website. How did you kind of come up with all of that?
So that was so stressful. I packing as a female, Adam had no problem. I was so stressed out about that.
It's stressful. Everything has a different purpose. And I on your website, you said that you really missed your skinny jeans. I saw that.
Yeah. Well, I chose my hiking pants because that's what we were doing a lot of. Mm-hmm. And with those, I could put, if I needed to, I could get, some under whatever those are called. The things that warm you that are really tight. Like leggings.
Long underwear kind of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So how I figured all that out is there were a couple other websites of travelers who were digital nomads that I was looking at, but they always stayed in the warm weather. Mm-hmm. So I learned just to layer. And what I really found works well is like a wind jacket and then a fleece under that. Okay. And then your long sleeve and then your short sleeve. I would do it that way.
Everything underneath it. Just wear your entire wardrobe all at once.
Yes, absolutely.
And then just put it all in the laundry and then put it back on.
But your shell is like your rain jacket too and your warm jacket. And then what I learned is, do you know what a buff is? That piece of fabric that wraps around?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
For me, that was my favorite piece of gear because I could use it as like a headband to cover my ears. Or like when it was hot out, I could use it as another headband to keep the sweat off. Mm-hmm. Or like as a sweat rag or to cover my neck, like if the sun. So it would help me both in like cold weather. And you can tie it into a hat too. So that was amazing.
I gotta get me one of those.
But I think when we went from a car or our house to our car, and you get in a groove of like what you're using, and you don't use everything. So you learn what's really important. And then we went down to a backpack, and then you're lugging your stuff around on your back. So you really decide, and we got rid of tons of stuff along the way, because you're like, I remember cutting down my towel, because I'm like, I don't need this whole towel. I just need like a square
only need half of the towel.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
When you lug it around for so long, you make decisions. So
yeah, I can see that. That's so funny. Well, I know that I definitely I struggle with that, because even just going on a small trip in my car with my mom, we drove out to Virginia to finish recording my upcoming album. And we drove out there, and I had like shower shoes, and just flip-flops. And then I had like hiking shoes, hiking sandals. And then I had just like my tennis shoes. And then I had just like sandals for everyday wear. That's like already 4 pairs of shoes.
I know. Shoes can really add up, and they add like a big chunk of weight too.
Especially like hiking shoes. But I know that in the van trip earlier this year, I wore my hiking shoes like almost every day.
Right.
They were so great. But also at the same time, if I'm traveling and I'm potentially performing, that brings a whole nother element.
Oh, yeah.
Because I always, like, my gimmick is my cowboy boots.
Yes.
I have like 9 pairs of them.
That's incredible.
So, like, growing up in the RV, I didn't really have anything else, but I had 9 pairs of cowboy boots.
Oh my God.
It took up the entire understorage of the couch. We had to take the fold-out bed out so I could put my boots in there.
Wait, so how do you choose which ones you want to wear? Like, do they each have a different meaning and purpose?
I think it just kind of depends on what dresses I have and the weather. If it's really windy, then I can't wear certain dresses or dresses at all. Some of them I've gotten more into like kind of outrageous ones. I have this pair of teal ones. They don't go with much at all, but they're beautiful.
Yes.
My new ones, like, they basically look like disco balls on my feet.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
They're pretty cool. So I guess it just depends.
Well, and everyone's so different, and, that's important to you. So you find a way to, prioritize those and pack them, and, so everyone's really different and has different priorities and what you're going to be traveling for. And those are very important. So you figure it out.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting. And I was looking through your packing list, and I think, like you're saying, it really comes down to, I mean, if that's important to you, then maybe backpacking isn't like a long-term game,
right?
For you,
Totally.
So that's something where, even just thinking about some of my upcoming trips, my biggest thing is books. I don't like digital books. I like physical books, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because especially, I went on a trip. I just came back from a trip to the East Coast, and I went on this trip with 1 book. I came back with 5.
Yes. Those are important. I totally agree. I'm the same way. And I love to take books where the setting of the book or the story is where you are. And I feel like that always...
And it's special.
Yeah, it dives me deeper into where I am. And so one thing I heard from Appalachian trail hikers, because we were kind of traveling alongside the trail a couple summers ago, they rip their pages out as they finish a page of their books. They don't carry the weight. If you're in your car, the weight's not that important. But if it's on your back, you want to get rid of that weight. I would have a hard time pulling pages out of a book.
I would too.
But that's something that you can do.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. So
yeah. I thought about getting like one of those Kindle paperweights. Yeah. And I thought about it. I do have an iPad and I can read on that, but it's just not the same. I like the flipping through the pages.
I know.
It's hard. If I bring a small book with me anywhere, I'll finish it in like an afternoon.
Yeah, you have a major dilemma.
I do. It's hard. I think that's one thing that I started doing is, I think when we were traveling a few months ago, I love the book You Are a Badass.
Yes.
Have you read it?
I've also started reading You're a Badass at Making Money.
I was just thinking about that earlier. I have it right here on my desk.
Good.
Yeah. And one thing that I did on my trip a few months ago is I bought that book and then I was just reading it. And then when I met a friend, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you have to read this book. And then I'd give it to them. And then when I needed another book, I go and buy it again.
Oh, that's great.
So if I'm like, okay, this is the book I'm reading, I mean, you might spend more money, but it was an interesting way to like give it to people. So I think I had to rebuy it like 4 times.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But that's a good way to think about it. Like when you're done with a book while you're traveling, share it with someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, so I think it's really interesting to think about that with traveling, because especially like when you said you're backpacking, it's only the most important thing. And I was looking at your makeup list and it was like concealer, blush, mascara.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but my face though, I need to put like, what about my rainbow highlighter and like all my other.
You're beautiful. You don't need all that. No way.
But I like being sparkly.
Okay. See, that's a priority, so make sure to pack that.
Yeah. I definitely noticed that being in a van, a lot of that just kind of goes out the window.
Totally. You realize that you're just hanging out in the same t-shirt and shorts. You probably wear 2 outfits all week, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was another thing that kind of stuck with me is how long you could stretch your clothes before a wash.
Oh, yeah.
Which at first I was like, oh, that's so gross. But then I started to be like, well, it's not dirty. It doesn't smell bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we did a year abroad, I only took 2 pairs of underwear because you can just easily wash those and everything else can be stretched quite a while. And what we did is we would have workout clothes that we would sweat in and then immediately like take those off and let them air dry and then put on other clothes. So those could last for several days. So that's what we did too.
Yeah, and I have this like Downy refresher stuff that I use. It's like a little itty bitty travel size and it deodorizes, de-wrinkles, and like freshens up your stuff. And
really?
so if I sometimes like I would just wear a shirt and then I would just spray it under the armpits and over the shirt to kind of de-wrinkle it. And then I just kind of fling it out a little bit to let the air go through it. And then it would usually be fine for another wear.
That's amazing.
So we could get to laundry.
So is it little?
Yeah, it's travel size for flying with. So I always fly with it now.
Okay.
So those are pretty
on my list. That's so nice.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Cool.
Yeah, so just trying to figure out some of those little tips, especially like in my glamper. I want everything to look super cute, but I also don't want to have things that have no purpose. So I have like one pillow in there that has like sequins on it, just one.
Oh, good. When it comes to decorative pillows, I can't not get more than needed, but it adds comfort. So I'm really proud of you for just getting one.
Thank you.
Self-control.
Yeah, self-control. I have the one. It adds like cute. It says your future looks bright and it's got sunglasses on it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's
I
really
love
cute.
that.
I like it.
You have to be happy looking at that every day.
Exactly. And I mean, it's funny. I made everything inside, like it matches my brand. It's all like pink and teal and everything, but it's kind of funny because when I talk about my car, though, I named my car years ago and his name is Edward. And so Edward has a very pretty interior. He's very in touch with his pink on the inside.
That's really funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Could Edward have a middle name?
His middle name is Hercules.
Oh,
he does actually have a middle name.
He's just in touch with his soft side then.
Yeah, I had an accident when I was younger and I had the tow bars for the RV on the front of my car. So when I had this accident, I pierced the car. And so I named him after Edward Cullen because he had the fangs.
Yeah.
And then Hercules because he had no damage basically at all visibly. So he's a tough car.
Yeah, he needs to keep his name.
It's a very strong name, very pretty inside. But yeah, so I love hearing all about like the travels and the stories and the packing. And I'm just curious how you got the idea for your upcoming book, which is called 501 Questions, a Travel Game.
Yeah, so Adam and I we've done a lot of traveling and we were on a ferry, and the ferry trip, this was last summer, and we were going to be on the ferry for 4 hours. And so being digital nomads, when we have time like that, we like to get work done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got on the ferry and there was no Wi-Fi.
Oh, no.
Exactly. We were both like,
Worst nightmare.
what do we do? And we kind of felt lost, and we kind of looked at each other, and then it's embarrassing to think that, because of no Wi-Fi, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. Yeah. That's terrible. So slowly we started having, small conversation that built. And then over 4 hours, we had one of the most special conversations we've had in our relationship. We dreamed new dreams. We figured out what goals we were working towards together. We had real conversation. And I realized that we were turning to our phones and our devices for our entertainment, or, during the dull moments of travel, instead of connecting with each other. And I had created a list while we were on a road trip 4 years ago of just questions I wanted to ask Adam. And so I started compiling all these questions, and so right now there's a group of people who are rallying around the book, and thank you for being a part of the launch team. It's like, so fun. I'm so honored and so special, and it's so special to have your support. And I had everyone, fill out just a short form, and it was amazing to see people's excitement around a book of questions to take on their travels, whether it's to go deeper with family and friends, or have conversation starters, when you don't know people that well. Mm-hmm. And also some people said to reconnect with family members that they feel a little disconnected with. But the majority of people said they are tired of all of us being stuck on our phones and, not connecting with each other. And so I've been realizing that's a bigger thing we're all facing and we're all trying to figure out. So I'm just really excited for people to get these questions in their hands and start funny conversations and these stories. I've taken my book to the hospital to visit my grandma, when you're there every day. Mm-hmm. And we've had amazing conversations that I've never had with her before. When we've met new RV friends that we don't know very well, we bring it and we always get to know them and hear funny stories. And I don't expect people to sit there and, ask 20 questions, because this is just a tool to spark interesting conversation. Yeah. That you may not have with someone other than having a random question pop up. So yeah, I'm just excited to share this as a tool for people on their trips and travels, to take those dull moments of waiting in the airport, or, on a road trip at hour 5, to spark funny stories and conversation and connect deeper, because one of the things Adam and I have learned on our travels is it's not the location we're in that makes a huge difference. It's the people we're with. Yeah. And so getting to know your travel buddies or the new people you meet, I mean, that's the memorable moments, and having a really cool conversation, locks in that location in your mind as a really special place because of the people that were there. So,
yeah. And I think that's what's so special about this book, is because it gives you the tools to make any moment special.
Yes.
It was also kind of fun as I was looking through it to find some questions to ask you. It was sparking things even in me. I feel like it could be like a cool writing prompt. Like, it's just, I just think it's a good way to just stir up your own curiosity.
Yes, absolutely. I've learned that's the thing with these questions, is you learn about yourself when you're asking them. You learn about the people who are answering them. And then a lot of the trivia questions, I have learned so much about our world and different countries. And yeah, so I'm just excited to share this. It's going to be published on August 21st, and it'll be available on Kindle for 3 days for free for people to download. So please download it and use it on your travels. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be so impactful to so many different people. And I would love to hear about how asking questions has impacted your life and travel. I mean, you had that conversation with Adam. So you're saying that you have this book and you've been asking it to different people as you've been traveling around. Do you have like a specific memory of recently where you've asked questions to someone and you've made a really special memory?
Yes. So I have a couple. so with this lifestyle, you meet people digitally,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes you get the chance to meet them in person. And so we were meeting Dan and Tracy from the Money Smart Nomad,
Mm-hmm.
and we had never met them in person before. So I had my book, and I thought this was a silly question. I wasn't even going to ask, but it's would you rather swim with a shark or a whale? And I've asked this a couple times, and
Mm-hmm.
people have really intense opinions on that on
I
that
can
question, which I
imagine.
wasn't expecting. But I learned that Tracy's like favorite animal is the orca whale, and she went into all these stories of getting to see her first orca, and I mean that's really special to her. And now
Yeah.
I feel closer to her. That would have never come up in
Yeah.
beginning conversations. And then another really one of my favorite questions in the book is if you could write a book about your life, what would the theme of your book be? And I asked
Mm.
that to my grandma, and my mom was also in the room. We were all sitting there together. And my grandma thought about it, and she said, growing up, she grew up in Denmark, Wisconsin. So growing up, on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, it wouldn't be cooking because my grandma's an amazing cook.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, no. So I could see like my mom sees my grandma as
Mm-hmm.
this amazing cook, but she sees herself as growing up, on a farm and how that really
Wow.
affected her. And then so we all went around, and that was just really special. I feel like that's a very memorable moment for me, sharing it with my mom and my grandma, and going deeper, and instead of like what's happening today.
Yeah. I think that's so great because, a lot of the things that we do to spend time with each other are watching a movie or, we even going out to dinner, but a lot of the times you just have those kind of surface level conversations,
Right.
even with your close friends.
Totally.
So I love that. I know I've been to a few meals with friends and they'll bust out some kind of question like, if you were a superhero, what would your superpower be? And it's like, oh, I don't know. It's a great question. Super speed? I don't know. So I get stuff done faster.
But it makes you ponder and think, and you learn about other people, like why they would decide that theirs would not be that, but something else. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So what is your dream for the book and the conversations that it'll start?
I really hope it just brings people back together and connecting with each other, and I just really hope that people form amazing memories like in the dull moments. I think we're trying to get off of our phones, and we're trying to get away from our phones, and I think this is a tool that can start or spark a conversation, to keep us engaged with each other. Because when things get dull, we all start scrolling. So that's my hope.
Yeah, I love that. So I think we should jump into playing the game because I'm really excited
Yes.
to hear what your answers are.
Okay.
Okay, well, before we get into it, do you want to kind of give us an overview of how the different questions are sorted in the book?
Yes. So the book is called 501 Questions, a Travel Game, and it has 4 categories of questions. So there's would you rather questions, if you could questions, tell me about, and then travel trivia. So each category has 130 questions that add up to 501 conversation starters. So,
Cool. Okay, so we're going to start with would you rather.
okay.
And I have a really good one for you.
Okay.
Okay, so would you rather meet a hibernating alligator or a hibernating bear?
Yes, I love this one. And I always get surprised at what people say. I would say I'd rather meet a hibernating alligator because, and that's not the right term. Someone corrected me on that.
Whatever.
But when I think during the cold season, their blood gets really slow. So they have very like delayed reaction time. So even if you bothered one, it wouldn't have time to you'd have time to get away. What would you say?
Oh, when I was picking this question, I really struggled with this because specifically I am afraid of bears for just, common sense reasons, but also because our mutual friend Alyssa, who was in episode 3 of the podcast, had a dream that I died in a bear attack.
What?
Or she says, I lived, but I saved the love of my life from a bear attack, and that's how I meet him.
So she can't quite remember her dream?
I think it kind of all happened at once. So she's like, either, like, when you see a bear, either you're going to meet the love of your life or you're going to die. And I'm like, comforting. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Alyssa,
So
that's crazy.
it's this running like joke between us now. Every time I see a bear, like some kind of like a stuffed bear or something, I snap a picture with her or with the bear and send it to her.
Yeah.
But ironically, though I am afraid of bears, I do not do alligators. I do not do crocodiles. I watched those movies as a child. I would choose the hibernating bear just because even being anywhere within range of an alligator, I feel like I would just die. So,
oh my gosh,
I would choose the bear.
See, that's funny. We both have very different answers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one for you.
Okay.
Would you rather take a road trip by yourself or go with a car full of people you just met?
I saw that one. I would say, my natural tendency, I would say, would probably to do the car full of people I just met, because I do love being around people, but I also know how stressful it can be if they don't also have work to do. So I would say I'd still probably choose that one. And then I would just find a way to get my work done. I might complain about it, but I would choose that one probably still over being by myself. So
what I'm hearing you say is it's important that they also have work so your schedules match.
So at least, like, because I've been on a lot of trips that I've been on where I've been staying with someone and they'll think I'm on vacation, but I'm like trying to get my work done.
Oh.
And they're like, what are you doing? Why are you working all the time? I'm like, because I have things to do. People are expecting things of me.
Yes.
So I think that if I was in like a car of people, that would be, I think that it would be more fun to be on a road trip with other people, but it would be probably a little stressful if they were on vacation and I was working.
Yeah.
So I think it would depend on the trip, but in general, I would rather probably be with a group of people.
Me too. I feel like I have better memories when I'm with other people than when I'm by myself. And if I don't get along with them, I can just kind of find my own time. But I have the comfort of being with other people.
You have an option.
Right. I agree with you.
Like that. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the if you could questions.
Okay.
So, if you could spend a day shadowing anyone, who would you want to shadow?
Oh my gosh, I don't even...
You wrote it.
I know. That is a really tough question. I think someone I admire. So either my friend Molly, who is also my coach, or my friend Sarah, who runs her own like wedding business. Women who I really admire and I look up to, and I want to see how they do things. So,
yeah.
Who would you choose?
I thought about this, and I think I would choose Jack Canfield, the Chicken Soup for the Soul author. I'm in his training program right now, and I feel like if I can master his teachings, I feel like I can do anything. So if I could actually like be near him and just absorb what he's doing that day, I feel like I would be able to just accomplish anything I set my mind to.
That's so awesome. So you're in a training program?
I'm in the Train the Trainer program through Jack Canfield's Success Principles program. And it's like basically, I think it's like his top 15 success principles from his book. And I'm in the program to be a success coach to teach others. And I want to use that in my own brand to be a positivity coach.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's what I'm working on right now. And then I want to use my music as one of my tools in my teachings, because I believe that stories are the best way to teach a lesson, and music is one of the best ways to tell a story.
Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. I'm
Thank you.
excited. That's so cool. Like just hearing that opens up like a whole new world that
Mm-hmm.
I am unfamiliar with, you know?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, I have a if you could.
Okay.
If you could get a backstage pass to anyone's show, which show would it be?
Ooh, I'd probably. Oh, I think I'm still gonna have to go with Taylor Swift. I'm gonna have to go with Taylor because I was thinking also it'd be really cool to meet Casey Musgraves. I love
Hmm.
Casey as well, but
Mhm.
Taylor, man, I've been a Taylor fan for a long time. I've never been to one of her concerts because I do have a bit of crowd anxiety, which is ironic as a performer, but her crowd is wild and they love her, which is amazing. I don't know if I want to be in it, but if I was behind the stage and I got to meet her and just like be near her and get to know her, ask her questions, and just be around while she does her thing, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Who would you choose?
So, I think I'm about to start an improv class. I think
Cool.
I would want to be like a backstage pass to like I don't even know if this is going anymore, but Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
Something with improv or comedy.
Mhm.
I think that'd be really
That's so fun. Are you doing that in Colorado while you're there?
Yes. So I've been wanting to do this for 2 years, and this is another reason why, having the option to be home and like stable for a little
Yeah.
bit. A
Mm-hmm.
class like that is in person and it takes a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited
That's
about it.
so fun.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to just have the freedom to like let things go the way improv does, like
Yeah.
continually moving things forward.
Yeah. You have to be like so on it. That's such an amazing skill.
Hopefully I'll gain that. I don't think I have
You
that right now.
Well, we're working on it right now because we're like coming up with things on the spot and, it's good
Yeah,
practice.
totally. Totally. So I'm excited about that. But improv, that would be so fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. I totally get what you're saying about like being in one place, you can do more things because that's one of the reasons that I said if I was going to be in Texas more, I really wanted to take advantage of taking dance classes because in college I was a belly dancer and
Wow.
I wanted to get back into dance classes. So the past few weeks I've gotten back into taking classes every week. And I've also along the route on my upcoming trip to Colorado, I have found classes along the way so
Oh,
I can try to
good.
like drop into a few, see
Yeah.
how other people do their classes.
Yeah, and keep it going for yourself and keep that momentum.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing. Belly
Yeah.
dancing. That's so cool.
You never know.
You'll have to
Okay.
teach me when you're here.
Yes, I will. I'll bring an extra shimmy for you. A little shimmy stash.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's
Okay,
funny.
so we're going to move into tell me about. Let's see. I have two that I'm trying to choose between.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Tell me about your secret talent.
My secret talent is I can make a bird noise with my teeth. Let me
What?
try. And I love babysitting little kids or hanging out with them because I can make that noise and they think a bird is in the room. It's silly, but I just love it. I confuse them and trick them, and I don't know. I just love that.
That is an amazing secret talent.
What is yours?
Oh gosh. Trying to think. I guess when I was looking at this, the first thing that came to mind was that I'm like a diehard couponer.
No.
So I was an extreme couponer in college.
What does that even mean?
It means that I bought a lot of things for very cheap that I did not need because I was saving money.
And then would you resell it?
Sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a retail major in college and I did an internship in Boston and my roommates and I lived in a hotel. And so we were trying to live as cheap as possible so we could pay for everything. And we watched the show Extreme Couponers one night at the hotel. And I could not wait to come back and learn from the masters about how to go to a grocery store and like walk out getting things for free and sometimes making money off of it. And sometimes that did happen. A lot of times it was more, I would pay, I don't know, maybe like a quarter of the cost for it. But there were many times where like my mom would be clean. She was just recently cleaning out the cabinets in the bathroom. And it's been about 4 years since I was like hardcore into this. And she's like, Kelsey, there are 30 bottles of shampoo under the sink.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, but it's still good. You're welcome, is what I should be saying. You're welcome.
Do you still use it, or do you still go to the store and get different shampoo?
That's a touchy subject. Because some, like when I go to the grocery store now, I actually have to pay for things, and it's sad. It's really sad because I used to like spend all Sunday. Sunday was my day for couponing. I would get 4 newspapers. I would clip out my coupons. I had this big binder. And when I walked into Target, they saw me coming.
Yeah.
And like, I'd go to the register and I'd just like open my binder, and you could just tell the cashier was just like, oh no, break. It's my break. It's my break time.
That's hilarious.
So it was, yeah. But a lot of really cool things came from it though. I was able to I would get a lot of makeup for free or for really cheap. And so I would donate it to the local women's shelter. And so that was cool. And then also I hosted a couponing competition with my student organization that I ran in college, which was really fun. We went to Kroger at like 9:00 on a Wednesday in the evening, and I had a cart full of coupons. And then I split everybody into 2 teams, and I gave them rules, and it was for Thanksgiving. So we were trying to get as much food as possible for a set amount of money to donate for Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And the teams were like running all over Kroger, and I was like trying to hide out with my little like cart full of coupons, and it was a blast. And then the prizes were all things I'd coupon for. So it's like, congratulations, here's a full-size deodorant.
That's amazing. Yeah, I really feel like there's a lot of strategy to that, and you can make it like a fun game too.
It is. It's very addicting. I will say that getting a discount on things is addicting, and that is why I have an entire room full of yarn behind me hidden where you can't see.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like there's 2 full cabinets in here full of yarn that I bought on sale.
What do you make?
I knit.
Oh, cool.
So I when I go into a hobby, I go all in to my hobby. So the knitting, I still knit, but now I have all of the craft store in my home, so I don't have to go buy it.
Right. So what is everyone getting for Christmas this year?
Hats.
Cool.
Hats and scarves every year. Hats and scarves.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I learned a lot about you.
Yeah, same. That was really fun. So did you have any other questions, or? I
was going to do oh no, I have one for you.
Okay.
I got so into learning about your yarn and couponing. Okay, tell me about the best piece of advice someone has given you.
Ooh, the best piece of advice. Okay, so what comes to mind was not necessarily advice. It was actually feedback.
Oh.
So it was last year, I had gone through a really rough breakup, and I had moved back home. I had also lost my job, started my own business, and I was really sick because I was just so run down and all this stuff. And I was so sick, and I was at home feeling really down, and I had a talk with my professor from college, and I worked for him. We're very close. And he said to me that in the process of the past few years before that, like getting out of college and getting into this relationship and moving in with my boyfriend at the time, he told me that after college, I had lost my sparkle. And he said, you were so full of life, and now you have lost your sparkle, and I hope you can get it back. And it was just so profound to see someone else look at me that way, for someone who really cares about me to say, you had something really special. You are really special, and you need to get it back. It's important that you get it back. And I think that's had one of the most profound impacts on me because it was so simple, but that is become kind of like my life purpose now is like every day I'm like, all right, I'm getting the sparkle back. It's kind of how I wake up in the mornings, like, let's get that sparkle back, So
Yeah.
it just kind of good motivation. And it's hard to take that feedback, because I could have just been like really down about it. I mean, I was already in a sad place, but it gave me hope that I had it once, I can get it back.
So like, if someone were to say that to me, I would spend the next couple days like really sad. Did you do that?
I was already really sad, so I don't know if I noticed anything else per se. I had a lot of conversations around that time. My mom had told me that I needed to talk to a lot of different people before I made any decisions about my life and my relationship at the time. And I was just hearing a lot of the same things, of people who really cared about me saying, you can do better with your life, and you haven't been. And that was really hard to hear, just in all areas of my life. And I slowly started to kind of pick myself back up. I was able to move out of my apartment, and I was living with my parents. I'm still kind of in and out of their house. And I just had so much love and support around me. And it was just this very slow healing process of I felt so broken. And I actually have a song on my upcoming album called Broken. And it's my favorite song I've ever written. And it's about that point when you realize that you're broken, because if you don't realize it, you can't fix it. And so I just thought that there was a lot of beauty in the brokenness, and I really clung to that. And just ever since then, just always trying to put that sparkle back in my life.
Right. And it's amazing that you had this professor who was willing to be very honest and blunt with you to push you forward, and it sounds like so many other people that were willing to do that because they love you and care about you too, you know? I also thought like, it's really exciting that you have a sparkle pillow too. Is that intentional?
Yeah, I try to add sparkle wherever I can, like disco
and your
ball.
Boots.
I got the disco ball in my room. There's a disco ball in the other room. I wear my unicorn highlighter when I can. I like wear the glitter, and I have my sequin pillow in my car. Yeah, anything like I really do identify with the glitter and the sequins and sparkle because it reminds me of that. When I see it, I'm like, that is my personality personified in objects.
Yes.
So it's a good reminder.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Well, I'm glad to be chatting with you where you are today,
Thank you. I'm much more pleasant than I was last year.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like you've been through a lot in 1 year, so way to go.
Yeah, thank you. So with your piece of advice, what would you say is the advice that's been the most profound for you?
Like you said, I don't know if it's like one statement, but when Adam and I would talk about wanting to travel, and as we started traveling, not like my parents' generation, but their parents' generation when we would talk to them, they'd always say, do it now, and like our parents' generation was like, are you sure that's not responsible, And so we went with the older generation and followed their cues and encouragement because they've lived longer and they have a lot more vision of what, where life leads you. So I think following their encouragement has been the best. And, taking the big leap, like when I gave my notice at my job, I cried my eyes out. Like I passed my letter and then I was just bawling. And it was terrifying, and the last day in our house, I cried so much. I was like excited, exhausted, and terrified. We didn't even know where we were going to stay that night. But taking that leap and following those cues and encouragement has totally transformed our lives. So, yeah, I think back to if we had just continued, what we were doing working at our jobs, I think my job would have been gone within 6 months because things were changing in the organization. And I don't know, but this is way more exciting with more freedom.
Yeah.
And I've pushed myself to new levels and way out of my comfort zone. And so,
Yeah. Well, that's so brave that you decided to do that. I know in the last episode, I just posted the episode today with Drew Benson, and he talks about the idea of, like 10 seconds of insane bravery.
yeah.
And, like it's amazing what you can accomplish, because once you've said it, once you're like, all right, we're gonna just like pack up our house and I'm gonna quit my job. And then once you do it, can't really go back. Exactly. I mean, I guess you could, but that'd be probably some awkward conversations.
But your mind's made up and you're already like moving yourself forward. There's I totally believe in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I can't even imagine how scary that must have been. I know that when I quit my first job, I was quitting my job to finish grad school full time, and also because I knew it would move me closer to travel.
Mm-hmm.
But I was crying so hard, my manager had to like take me on a walk to get it out of me because I felt so bad. I was like, I don't know what to say. He's like, Kelsey, just what's going on? And he basically like he already knew. I think he could tell. He's like, oh, she's really upset. Are you leaving us? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm only laughing because I was right there.
No, you know. So the second time I was lucky because I got let go. So I was like, okay, well, this worked out. Except they let me go, but they didn't give me an end date. So it was like an open-ended leaving. It was, yeah. So I finally had to be like, okay, I guess my last day will be that day.
That's fascinating.
That was a fun one.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But jobs, you never know.
I remember like trying to fall asleep and I was so afraid of what would happen if we went. Mm-hmm. But I was more afraid of the regret if we didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember just being like, Lindsay, you got to go.
Yeah.
And I was terrified, but oh my gosh, every time I'm afraid of doing something, which if I had a book about my life, it would be about courage. Mm-hmm. So I'm afraid of everything.
Same.
But all of the time and energy and like anxiety that comes into every fear I have is so not worthwhile. Mm-hmm. It's such a waste because none of that ever comes true. And my brain takes it to a whole new level and a whole other reality that's not happening, Mm-hmm. And so I was never afraid on our travels, but when I would be here in my home, like I was terrified of the boogie monsters down alleys. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wrote my children's book, Pootie mm-hmm. the Pelican, because I never had those feelings when I was out there. We were always welcomed in and we always had friends, everywhere in the world, people who were strangers that quickly became friends. So all of those fears were a waste. And I have to continue reminding myself that because it's a constant struggle for me. So.
Wow. Well, that I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to ask you about your children's book because I didn't know that until I saw on your website that this book is actually your third book.
Yes. So I wrote a children's book called Pootie the Traveling Pelican, and it's about a pelican who goes off on a journey of trying to find her reflection mm-hmm. in a lake. So she's trying to find a lake, and she meets all these animals that she asks for help to guide her to the lake, and they help her to the lake, but they also invite her in, and they find that even though they look different, they have more in common than their differences. So, and then they all encourage her at the end with who she is and how unique she is. So those are all lessons that I learned on our travels. And we met, and what inspired me to do that book was we met a dog named Pootie, and Pootie mm-hmm. means white in Indonesian. Mm-hmm. And she has a really special story. So she inspired me to write a children's book. And so I went through a couple different versions, and Pootie the Traveling Pelican is what the finished story is. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah. And at the very end of the book, I say, in the book, it says, what is one lesson you learned from Pootie the Pelican? And that is to bring about conversation between teachers mm-hmm. and students or parents and their kids to spark conversation about the lessons these kids could learn through the story. Mm-hmm. I think that's very important, is to talk through that stuff. And whenever I read it to kids, they blow my mind with the lessons of the story. So yeah, sparking conversation is very, very important to me. So
Yeah, I can definitely see that in all of the work that you're doing. And I love that on the website you can buy the book and there's a little option, it has a little pelican, which is so
yeah,
cute.
actually, the illustrator Lauren Klickner, she had gifted me a little pelican, and I was like, "Would you be interested in making more?" So those are designed and made by her.
Wow, how does she make them?
She makes them with felt.
Wow.
So yeah, she's super talented.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I saw that and I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah, yeah. So now
very
kids who
special.
read the story can take Pootie on their adventures.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Makes me really want to like have a little pelican and then put him by a lake,
Yes,
his reflection, then take a photo and send it to you.
you should. I'm trying to decide if I should make more or create like a package where kids can make their own.
Ooh, that's cute.
So I'm trying to decide, yeah, a fun activity.
Well, it seems like there might be market for both, so test them out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's super fun. Cool. Well, I actually have some of my own questions for you.
Oh.
I have some little positivity rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Name one thing that makes you happy.
Iced coffee.
That sounds good. Name one thing that you're grateful for.
My husband, Adam.
Nice. Your favorite place that you've ever visited.
New Zealand.
I can't wait to see that someday. It's so pretty. And your favorite book.
Oh, that's not rapid fire. That's hard.
Favorite book you've read recently?
At Home in the World by Tish Oxenreider.
Okay.
She talks about having this. She took her 3 kids and her husband and they went around the world, and she talks about feeling at home anywhere in the world, but also like having a tug for having your own space in the world too, which I felt totally.
Yeah.
And I really admire any parents who take off on a grand adventure with their kiddos. So
yeah,
I recommend
cool. I'll have to check that book out.
Yes.
What is a podcast that you've been listening to?
I love How I Built This.
Okay.
Do you listen to that?
I don't, but I've heard a lot about it.
Oh, it inspires you that you can do it.
Okay. Cool. Well, I love featuring like people's favorite resources and things that they've been listening to and reading. So I'll definitely include that in the show notes.
Yes.
I got 2 more for you. Something that you do for fun.
I'm trying to figure that out right now because I feel like I'm working on my boundaries. I feel like photography would be my answer.
Okay. What do you mean working on your boundaries?
Like with this lifestyle, I've been really focused on like what I'm good at and what I can like produce and things like that. And what the content I'm writing from comes from our lifestyle. So I feel like before I had very distinct boundaries when I worked for someone else. Working for myself, I feel like I've kind of lost myself in this journey.
Okay.
So I'm trying to set boundaries for myself of like my projects and then stopping at a certain time. Yeah. And what do I enjoy doing in the evening or on weekends or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So that's been a journey for me with where I am right now.
Yeah.
And I was doing like photography as like part of my projects and stuff, but I'm starting, and I was feeling a lot of like burden because I had so many I hadn't done anything with. And now I'm just enjoying it. So
yeah, that's beautiful. I definitely see what you're coming from because there are many late nights where I've been like working on my podcast and it's like, this is business, but it's fun and I like it. So like, where is that line when I'm reading? Is it a book for fun or is it a book that I'm going to write about? But if I like it and it's fun, is it that also fun? So it's that weird line.
Yeah, totally. I get that.
Yeah.
It's this whole meshing thing.
Yeah.
Figure out how to mesh.
Oh, I'm also like, I feel like I like having little businesses Because then I'm like, oh, it's a tax write-off. Oh, it's for my business. So then when my parents are like, why are you bringing more craft supplies into our house? I'm like, oh, it's a business.
That's brilliant. That's so creative.
I need more stamps. They're like, no, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do. I don't have this shape of llamas. I need those.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
You're so creative.
But then is it a hobby at that point? Okay, I have one more question. Name something that is on your bucket list.
I want to spend months in Italy.
Ooh.
And just enjoy the food and the culture.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
I love that. Well, Lindsay, this has been so much fun. Thank you for being on the show. So tell us a little bit more about where we can find the book, 501 Questions, a Travel Game, and where we can connect with you online.
So you can find the book, the game, on Amazon or our website. Our website is nuventuretravels.com. And the Kindle version will be free starting August 21st for 3 days. And yeah, you can connect with me and find me on Instagram and Facebook at Nuventure Travels. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
This has been so fun.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Lindsay Nubern. I hope you are inspired to start more meaningful conversations with people around you. You never know how it might impact someone's life. Before we go, I have 2 things to ask of you. First, head over to positivelydelighted.com and find the show notes for this episode. Click on the Amazon link to go get Lindsay's book. It's amazing and it will change your life. Second, while you're on the website, click the button on the homepage to sign up for the email list for the music and lyrics release on Saturday. You'll be first to know when everything is released, and I will give you all the details. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Positively Delighted Show. Be sure to head over to positivelydelighted.com to get the show notes for this episode. If you liked the show so far and you've been learning a lot from the content, I would love if you could go to iTunes or your favorite podcast listening app and leave a review. You would be my favorite person ever. Thank you so much again, and I hope you have a positively delighted day. See you next time.